Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Russ here from Porky's Corner, the biggest gob in sport. I say the things on here that nobody dares say, and still the fucking big dog on here. Everybody wants to be like me on YouTube all of a sudden, don't they? Hey, a lot of people want to be big fucking P, don't they? Hey, right, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Hang on, let's sort this out. I'm a bit steamed up here. I've just poured myself a very large one. Right. Where do we start here? Where do we start here? When Eddie Hills, the 7-0 Iceman from Billericay, five by way of course, when he says at the end that he had it a draw, what does that mean, boys and girls? It means that his man got beat. Now, look, we're not here to rinse Conor Benn. Look, Conor Benn fought his heart out for the hand that he's been dealt and the ability that he's got, right? He had the choice of gloves, the choice of ring, right? They had the rehydration clause, and basically they did everything they could to take Eubank out of his stride, even having Billy Joe sausages try to get into the dressing room to supervise the hand wraps, but Billy Joe sausages were refused entry. I mean, how's about that? Billy Joe sausages, you a licker. You should be embarrassed trying to be Eddie Hills, as a little bitch. Right, watching the fight, I had it 115, 113. There you go. 116, 112 was very unfair. Very, very unfair to Crusher Ben. But he were wild earlier on. He were fantastic in the middle. But down the stretch in the championship rounds, he burnt himself out through inexperience. CompuBox will prove that. All right? About what punches were thrown and what punches were landed. But he fought his heart out and they'll look to do it again. They will look to do that again. But the right man won. And I'm glad that English Chris Eubank Senior was was there on the night because probably gave his son a lift because you need people around you like that, don't you? But Conor Ben's 28, coming up to 29. He had youth on his side, but inexperience, right? They've wrapped him in cotton wool. He's talking about Barrios and Boots Ennis and stuff like that and going down to 147. Look, he get wasted at 147. He get wasted at 154. He couldn't even deal with a guy that were weight drained and an old man, basically a 35-year-old. But he fought his heart out. So Conor Benn, you're a two-time drug cheat, but I'm going to give you respect. You fought your heart out and you left it all in the ring. That's what I want to see. I'm not here to rinse Conor Benn. I've rinsed him enough over his drug issues and how they've done this. They've done everything to get the fight over the line, haven't they? That's what they've done. They've done every single thing they could to get that fight over the line. But Chris Eubank, he were more patient. He were popping that jab at him, and he went after him in championship rounds, and that's where the fight were won. But he left everything in ring, so we have to give Conor Benn his dues, don't we? He fought his heart out. You know, he'll be crying his eyeballs out now. They look devastated, but they're going to get paid, aren't they? And what will happen now is Eddie is going to have to go at begging bowl, and he's going to have to go to Christopher Eubank Jr. and old man English, as he prefers to be called, English. But I think what happened is the crowd had a big effect on the judging. And that's why it was 116, 112. Because every time Eubank, because my pal were there, he told me everything. Every time Eubank threw a punch, the crowd got behind him. And they didn't crush a Ben. The crowd was against Crusher Benn. They were cheering, but they were cheering more for Eubank. But Eubank won the fight. He didn't win it though by 116, 112. I thought he nicked it by a couple of rounds. I thought the referee was all right on the night. So preps to the referee. The judges, the right man won, but it weren't 116, 112. It was not 116, 112. 2 seconds. Okay, it weren't 116, 112 at all. I should have Max on here tonight, but his arsehole fell out. But he's at home watching it, probably with a big Coca-Cola, because that's what he drinks, and probably a big, massive plate of Leona's stew and dumplings and mash. But Max is on in the morning at 9 o'clock, and we've got Ian on at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we're gonna have two 40-minute blasts in the morning. But I enjoyed the fight. Did I enjoy the show? Yeah, I think it was a good show. There weren't knockouts and that were there, but they were all evenly matched fights, and that was a good show. That I watched it on Sky because here indoors paid for it, but she couldn't do it on the DAZN thing, which is hard to fathom out, and she did it on the Sky thing. So yeah, I thought Adam Booth and Horsecock. Go to Adam Booth, he's the best, the Dark Lord. And Johnny Horsecock and Natasha Jonas, I thought they were fantastic. I think they called it straight, so props to them. What it worth 20 quid? Yeah, I think it were worth 20 quid. So, I'm very, very critical, me. Very, 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 very critical. But yeah, I'm glad Christopher Eubank Jr. won. Obviously, he's going to have to pay a big fine for 89 grams over. I mean, they won't even let him have a pee when he went into arena for a weigh-in. They won't even let him have a pee. That pee would have made all the difference because the average pee is at 126 grams or something. So arriving late and all that, and they won't let him have a pee. That's in bad taste. I'm hearing the scales weren't calibrated. Uh, it is what it is, isn't it? But good value for money. They'll do it again because they won't want to give Billy Joe sausages a fight because he's 4 year out at ring. So if he fought Eubank, he'd be 4.5 year out at ring. Where does Crusher Ben go now? Well, they're talking Kell Brook, aren't they? That's the whisper. Kell Brook. Kell Brook and Crusher Ben. So what would happen in that fight? Kell Brook would school him. Kell Brook would absolutely school him. Get Flex in the corner. Flex! They'll get Ebony Bridges on show to add a bit of glamour. Some God. And that's what they'll do. But it'll be Flex, be pushing for it now, and everybody will be saying like Gareth A. Davis, Spencer Oliver, Simon Jordan. Well, there were a lot of swing rounds, and it were hard to judge. And this is before I've even seen anything because it's only just finished 5 minutes ago. The fight. This is before I've even seen anything. Swing rounds and oh, it went 116, 112. And look, as I said earlier, if in the blue corner from Billericay, the 7-0 Iceman, five by Hill. If Eddie Hills is going to draw, it means his guy lost. If Bricktop, old Dinted, if he's got Amazon Shearers and a Damas as a draw, it means his guy lost. That's just boxing, isn't it? Sometimes you get the rubber of the green, but it is what it isn't. So that's that. That's where we're at. So what did I think to it all? I thought it was a good show. But like I said, there weren't no knockouts, were there? But what can you do? So there you go. What do I think to the rest of the show? Well, we saw that Doug Feister, whatever he's called, chief editor at Ring Magazine there. Look, you're only there because you're paid to big up Turkey. I don't agree with Turkey owning Ring Magazine. Turkey, get that tea towel off your fucking head. You look stupid. Especially when you turn to back of us and it's hanging down back. You look a cock. an absolute cock with a tea towel on your head, strutting about. That's where I'm at on that one. All we're going to get is propaganda now for Turkish fighters on Ring Magazine shows, but I thought the show were all right. I thought it were worth a score. So, okie dokie. Other nonsense that happened there. Beefy Smith, a shot fighter. I had Aaron McKenna to beat him. My accumulator lost. I predicted everything. Straight wins all the way through. But Yard let me down with knockdown, so that was that. But it is what it is, isn't it? Vidal Riley, I think he's a fantastic fighter. A friend of mine, Russ, has worked in his team for a while, and he tells me he's the real deal. I had that 116-112 against Clark. Virgil Hunter. I've been telling people for years Virgil Hunter got lucky with Andre Ward. He's absolute shite. He never won a world title fight with Amir Khan. He ruined Angulo. He ruined Joshua Boazzi. And he's ruined Clark. So he's pony. Virgil Hunter, your pony. But Beefy Smith, shot fighter. Statistics prove it. When you're holding all the time and you're not throwing, you know what I mean? It's old age. But what can you say? Ladies and gentlemen, the Smiths. Big Roy and Dad, old Jew said. And Smig with his titties in corner. But where was Swifty? The go-to guy and Joe McAnally. Go to Joe McAnally. He's the best. The new Joe. Boom. Where were the corner talk? It weren't there because you've got a shot fighter. I thought that other kid, Aaron McKenna, fought a fantastic fight. I thought his corner were very good to him in his corner, giving him fantastic advice. He fought a great fight, and he's one for the future. What is he? 20-0 now, Aaron McKenna. He's a very, very good middleweight. Does Chris Eubank Jr. or Crusher Benn beat Aaron McKenna? No, he'd take him apart. He'll just ping them all night. They're not going to be calling that kid out from Ireland, let me tell you. What they'll do, they'll go for the money. Eddie will have to suck off Eubank and his old man and get him in the ring and pay him money and get rid of that fine and work something out to get a rematch in October. That's what's going to happen. They're not going to give Billy Joe sausages a rematch Eubanks. They're going to go for Crusher again. And what they'll do, if they're smart, their advisors will say, we'll fight you again at middleweight, but it's just a straight £160 fight, and you can rehydrate to what you want. That's what's going to happen. Or hopefully what happens, then we'll get a better fight, and then Eubank can clean his clock, can't he? Because that's what we want to see, because everybody's forgetting what Crusher Benn is. He's a two-time drug cheat. He fought his heart out tonight. Do I feel sorry for him? Do I fuck? But he's a two-time drug cheat. That's the bottom line. He got beat tonight by a couple of rounds, but I give him some respect because he did fight his heart out. But they had every advantage. Gloves, ring size, rehydration clauses. You name it, they tried to do everything to take that kid, Christopher Eubank Jr., out of his stride. So, Chris Eubank Jr., I'm glad you got the nod, but for a moment there, I thought they were going to give it a draw so they could play it against Sam. But it is what it is. Anthony Yard, I had him down to win by knockout. He didn't, but that were a good fight as well, him and Lyndon Arthur. I'd like to see Lyndon Arthur in a rematch with Liam Cameron. So hopefully, Lee Eaton, you cop, you can sort that out. How complicated is that zone though to get on and get a fight on? So Sky's a lot easier. Have a look. Viewers scorecards. I think Sky need to get rid of that now. Viewers scorecards is a joke. Get rid of that. There's only one card that matters. That's the judges. That's about it, really. Not really much else to report on. I was glad that English turned up, though. Eubank's dad. I was glad to see him there. I always think he's a bit eccentric, but He's a very snappy dresser. I like his style, and that's about it, really. 2 seconds. So that's about it. Yeah. Some more ice cubes. We need more ice cubes. This is no good to me. We want ice cube. I like a few rocks in it. Talking rocks. You know, €10 give me like that one off. Proper rocks. But yeah, Eubank, he impressed me tonight to say that he were weight drained and he weren't allowed to rehydrate. Because Eubank usually rehydrates 18, £19, I've been told. They only let him do 10, didn't they? And fighters, after the morning of the fight, they don't usually have a lot, do they? Because they don't want to carry too much. So they knew what they were doing. They took it, like I said, they did everything to mess it up. But I thought the show were good. So well done to all them involved: Turkey, Ben Shalom, Eddie Hills. Where does Beefy go now? Beefy. Where does he go now? Uh, He's got to retire now, hasn't he, old tennis ball head? I mean, he had a great grey hair when he was 12, didn't he? He's finished, Beefy. Look, statistics prove it, and I follow fighters, and obviously I have a bet, don't I? And I like a bet, but I follow fighters, and I look at statistics, and when they're throwing less and they're holding more, like Josh Warrington and like Beefy, Father Time waits for nobody. Beefy's been a world champion, Josh Warrington has. Good fighters. Not elite, but good fighters. But they're the last ones to think that it's over. Still want to get a payday. Beefy's gone there tonight for whatever he's got, 50 grand or whatever. They just wanted one more bite at the cherry. All them people putting Beefy in that ring should be embarrassing, but where were the corner advice? I mean, weren't Swifty the go-to guy, according to Charlie Edwards? Joe McAnally was the next big thing, wasn't he? It's not happened, has it? It's not happened for him. Father Time waits for nobody. He got old in Eubank fight and that were a while ago. He's been inactive, hasn't he, Beefy? You Benn's complaining, oh, I've been inactive and blah de blah de blah. Look, yeah, you've been inactive, but that's your own fault. You're a two-time drug cheat. That's the bottom line. But as I said before, and I'll say it again, it's boxing, isn't it? But Beefy's got to retire. But once he's gone, there's only all the crater face left, isn't there, out of the Smiths. Ladies and gentlemen, the Smiths. But what I really want to talk about is what I've heard tonight is Bricktop and Turkey's fallout. Oh, it's not as rosy for Bricktop and Turkey now, is it? They couldn't even get Bricktop a seat, apparently, from what I'm hearing. But it is what it is, isn't it? He's worked them all out and jumped ship with Dana White, hasn't he? I see old Barry Epstein were hanging out at back of Turkey, though, wasn't he? Eh? Pop, pop, bang on that one. Chris Billum Smith and that Brandon Granton or whatever it's called. That fight didn't really excite me, but Chris Willem Smith got the win, didn't he? Won by a couple of rounds, in my opinion. But what can you say? But I do want to talk about Trish Dixon and Donald McRae. They've done an article on there. Apparently, it's out there, and they were very critical about Turkey. Oh, they said some stuff about Turkey that I'm not even going to repeat. Who did you have winning?
Eubank winning by 5 rounds.
5 rounds. That's why you don't know not about boxing.
Yeah, but I said Eubank would win though, didn't I?
He did go to bed. That's why women don't know not about boxing, do they? They don't, do they, women? They just buy into all this hype stuff and don't they? And, you see, the problem you've got is, like I said earlier, Crusher Ben's rubbed everybody up the wrong way, aren't they? 5 rounds. Do you see what I have to put with? Crusher Ben's rubbed everybody up the wrong way, and it come on to roost tonight, didn't it? He'd be crying in his soup tonight, won't it? Be like that. All Ferraris in world and £100,000 watches, they don't mean shit when you've just been beat, do they? So I don't feel sorry for him now. And like I said, they're gonna have to take short end of the stick now and beg. But you know, when I look at Matchroom now, they're saying Simon Jordan's saying it's worth £1 billion and all that. I look at the people that put them there, all them snooker players. Steve Davis started it off, and Chris Eubank took it to the next level. After Chris Eubank, the pack boxing in, didn't they? Carried on with snooker. Phil Taylor, he lined his pockets, didn't he? He put him on map. Anthony Joshua and Carl Froch, or Carl Froch and Anthony Joshua. That's who's put him in a position. Crusher Benn, has he put him in a good position? No, they're already there, weren't they? But it's gimmick fights, isn't it? We've got two world champions in England. Daniel Dubois, by default, and Nick Ball, that's it. That tonight, there were no world title fight. They're not putting world title fights on from Brits. Yeah, Opie Tier and all that, and Katie Taylor and all that, but that's women, isn't it? We're on about Brits. They've got no one. So Eddie's going to have to get begging bowl out to get that on again. Would I want to see it again? Yeah, I would. But no rehydration clauses for Chris Eubank. I just want to see him 160, middleweight. Ben saying is the middle. Let him fight at 160 and have as many shakes and steaks and pasta as they want after it weighing. And let's see who the best is. Because that tonight were a closer fight because of what they did. Gloves, ring, rehydration causes, and everything else that went on. They did everything to stop it. But Alan McKenna impressed me tonight. Chris Eubank did as well to say he was not hydrated like he should have been. But that's about it, really. We've had 20 odd minutes at me. I'll save them little bits and bobs there for tomorrow. For Ian's coming on it morning, and then Big Max out of a fucking pea. Should have been on now, Max. Well, like I said, you like that, aren't you? Eating your stew and dumplings and mash. So, oh my God, hang on a minute. Oh, I'll have to check all that now. Hang on a minute. Why is Tony the Bellend crying? Oh my God. Oh my God, you're gonna have people like Cougs, Tony the Bellend, and Spotty Frank Smith. I've got the same glasses as him, man. I Spotty Frank. Show you these bins here. Spotty Frank's got the same glasses as me. I'll never wear these because again, I'm gonna weigh them in. Some different ones. Spotty Frank, eh? So he's been beat. They know he's been beat because when, like I've just said there, when Eddie Hills is saying it's a draw, you know his guy got done. But he fought his heart out. So that's that. But Trish Dixon and Donald McRae, they had the press passes took, just like I had mine took. They had their press passes took. Trish Dixon, who is a guy who I respect, and Donald McRae, old school journalists, they had their press passes took for doing an article about Turkey, telling you about the real Turkey. Isn't that right, tea towel Turkey, eh? They'll come out about you on it, you're wrong. And I respect Trish Dixon because he's the only journalist in the UK to put it on Barry Hearn about him being in Jeffrey Epstein's book. There you go. People forget about stuff like that, don't they? Not that we're saying Barry's done anything wrong, we only want to ask him questions. So Bob's just say from Canada saying he had it 116, 112. Got to be the end of Eddie Hills now, says Chris Burns. He's part of the commission. Right man won at least, says Dan from Solihull. So everybody agrees. There's a couple of others whose names I won't read out. License holders who are like, Porky, please don't put my name on your channel. Okay, no problem with that. Put it on your fucking socials though. Tell me. So that's about it. Oh, and a good night was had by all. Oh, Crusher will be crying in his sleep tonight now, won't he? Well, English backing with his son though. Yeah, he was driving around in his McLaren now. Right, 5 to 12. I'm absolutely shatterooned. I'm gonna go to bed now. So, thanks for liking and subscribing and leaving a comment. I want to thank people as well for the last few days who've according to my analytics. 2 seconds. So. Yeah, can I just thank all them people for sharing my videos on WhatsApp because views have gone up and that, and people are subscribing now. So maybe people are starting to listen to me now because we've been telling it straight here for nearly it's 8 years in November when I started this channel, and a lot of money's gone into this channel, a lot of effort and a lot of backing from South Yorkshire Packaging, who I've got my studio with tech guys and all sorts. And like I said, I couldn't even work a computer when I first started doing this because I'm a bit illiterate and I'm a bit out there, aren't I? I'm just like a mouthy Doncaster lad, aren't I, in front of the channel. But we tell it as we see it. But I do know my boxing, and it's a sport that I've studied since I was a young boy. But I want to thank everybody for sharing videos and subscribing and that. So, okay. We're gonna have more people coming on channel. We get like 6 or 7 people every day sending me details that want to come on, but for every 6 or 7 that want to come on and send me the details, when it comes down to it, they bottle it. So, okie dokie. We even offer trolls the opportunity to come on, but they bottle it as well. So I don't bother sending them links now because they're just messes, aren't they? If you can't work your computer, you're not going to get on here. But thanks for sharing the videos and subscribing. It means a lot. And we tell it straight. And a lot of other people are setting up YouTube channels and they're following my lead. I think that's good because we need to be outspoken, especially about drug cheats in boxing, because there's loads of them. People are getting away with murder with these non-disclosure or whatever they call where they can't talk about it and that. It's all going on, right? This kid here tonight, Crusher Benn, he's had it off. He's going to get paid millions of pounds, and he's a drug cheat, right? And he's absolutely played a blinder to get through it. They've managed to get the fight over the line. People are asking me in comments section, do I feel gutted that Carlos Sauerland's note to do with this show? Not really, because he's a cock. He's private school educated, isn't he? So I'm glad he ain't nothing to do with it. He can really see what Eddie Hills is all about now. It's every man for the same box, and it's the wild, wild west. It's the only sport where people will sell their souls, right? And what the vibe of my channel is just to tell it straight. And that's it. That's why I've not lost a life on here, because we tell it straight. But if anybody wants to take me on here on Zoom. Take me on, all right? Because we're dealing facts, all right? So pop, pop, king bang. And I'm really happy tonight, even though me accumulated didn't win. Yard, you cost me a fortune. If Yard had knocked Lyndon Arthur out, I would have went straight over to Amsterdam for a week instead of a weekend. That's it. One, peace out. See you. Pop, pop, bang.